Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to talk a little bit about carnivorous plant care and also create a little mini bog. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, and I wrote down some things that I want to talk about regarding to carnivorous plants and their care. So let's just get right into it because I'm really excited. I've been like waiting for this. And I actually went thrifting recently, so I have some vessels. Here, I'll show you what I currently have. These are all of my carnivorous plants within my collection. The newest addition to the collection of carnivorous plants, which I didn't really realize I was getting that much into carnivorous plants, but I feel like I've kind of gotten a grasp of them and I kind of understand them a little bit more. This is one of my oldest carnivorous plants. These two right here, this is a pinguicula, and then this back here, this is a Drosera capensis, and I absolutely love all of them. There's also a little itty bitty butterwort right here as well. And I also have this cool little utricularia, which are considered bladderworts. We'll get into that a little bit more, but I want to put all of these, what is it, 4 or 5 together now. And I did recently get this one, which I don't know if I said the name, but this one is a Drosera Hercules or Hercuens. It's hard to read. I'm pretty sure it might be Hercules. Let me know what you guys think. It just looks so pretty, and the petals on this one are just so unique and different than any other Drosera I've seen. But yeah, I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna unpot these first, and then we'll pick a vessel. And while I'm unpotting these, of course, I'm going to chat a little bit more about their care and what I've had them. I haven't had them for too long, but I feel like I've definitely gotten a grasp of them. And the pinguicula right now is actually flowering. So they're commonly known as like pinguicula or butterworts. Either or, really, it's used interchangeably. But yeah, this one has flowered multiple times over multiple occasions, and yeah, as well as the Drosera actually. If I can find the picture of the Drosera flower, or the capensis flower, I'll pop that in. I need to learn to like call them by their names because now I have another one and you guys aren't gonna know which one I'm talking about. But yeah, so let's just get these unpotted. I wasn't gonna do this today, but honestly, here, let me lower you guys so that you guys can see a little bit more. Okay. I'm a little scared to do this, if I'm being honest, because I recently repotted the Drosera and the utricularia. These used to be in a completely different vessel, and recently I have just sort of consolidated it all into one. But I think this ping I might be able to just plop out. Maybe not. Okay. So I am going to pop up a list right now of everything that I have, like all of the carnivorous plants that I'm showing you right now, and this will be their scientific names as well as their common names. And I got my first ones, which were the Drosera capensis, this one right here, and then the pinguicula pirouette. And I'll pop in some pictures of what they're supposed to look like, because I feel like my pinguicula pirouette doesn't necessarily look like what it actually is meant to look like. In my area, at least right now, they're starting to become a little bit more common. And I wouldn't say common, but they're definitely starting to show up a lot more in like local plant shops and stuff. These are what the roots look like on the Drosera capensis, and I think that they're supposed to be black. One area where I was really confused when I first started was watering. And watering for me, I did not understand or comprehend. I feel like for the sundews, it's a little bit more self-explanatory, but with the pinguicula, I was kind of confused. I didn't get it from a like local nursery. I got it at like a plant and garden festival type thing. And so I just was kind of a little bit confused on how to take care of it. And as I've grown into it, I feel like that's the one I'm like least confident with. The Drosera, I feel like I've kind of gotten down. I'm sorry guys, this is really muddy and just not wanting to come out. Okay. Not what I meant to happen. Now there's gonna be dirt all over this. Awesome. Okay. Also doesn't smell amazing, but you know what? That's okay. Yeah, the pinguicula is definitely the one that I feel least confident with, and I have 2 pinguicula. I don't know if you guys saw that one. I'll try, here, let's see. I got this pinguicula, which was on my wish list. It is the pinguicula jamavensis. and it is supposed to be a little mini Pinguicula. This one is not going to get big whatsoever. It usually, you guys can see how tiny that is. Come on, focus, there we go. You guys can see how tiny that is, and it is probably going to stay this small for a long time. I don't think it's really going to get much bigger. And oh! Okay, I'm just gonna set this down before I really just mess that one up. Okay, yeah, the Pinguiculas are definitely one that I am not like confident with whatsoever. The Drosera, I've noticed they just love water. Like Droseras really do just want water, and they will let you know when they're dry. Even if, like, for me, I keep them in a no drainage vessel, so this has zero drainage on the bottom. There's no hole, there's no way for the moisture to, you know, go out the bottom. And I've grown most, if not all of these that way. Even from like the first second I got them, I always, you know, sort of had them in a setup in that way. And for their substrate, you also don't want to use something that has fertilizer or anything like that. You want to use something like peat moss, which has zero like fertilizer, zero additives, like anything like that. You literally just don't fertilize these, you don't give them anything really, and it's how I've sort of kept them. A lot of people like talk about like fertilization and like giving them fish food and stuff, which I haven't done until recently. Recently I did some research and I decided to get some bloodworms to like feed them, which is like fish food. You can get it at like any pet store, and I did give it to the new one that I got, and you guys can see it right here, the one that's closed. Hopefully I'll try and zoom in on that. And it has one in there currently, and then I also gave one to my other Drosera. That one isn't really doing anything as much as the other one. It's kind of just there. I don't know, we'll see. And then I did give one to my Pinguicula as well, but with that being said, I have just now decided to, you know, start fertilizing them after like so long of not even wanting to really mess with them, because I know that they don't, any like carnivorous plant, they don't necessarily need consistent like food. They'll do okay if they aren't like catching something in a while or whatever. But with mine, I've noticed that when I first brought them in, they were sort of catching stuff, not really, and then it's just slowly slowed down to like they're not catching anything whatsoever. And so that's what sort of made me want to, you know, start the fertilization process or whatever that is. With that being said, they also don't need like consistent fertilization. Like, you don't need to give them one every single day. Once a month would be okay. Like, they really don't need a lot of fertilization, or like, this isn't even considered a fertilization, but food, I guess. Like, they don't need food like consistently every week, or, you know, that even might be a little bit much. I have just like recently started doing this, so do not take like any of this for like, you know, something that you should do unless you want to try and experiment with that. If you're like carnivorous plants are catching things every once in a while, that should be enough for, you know, the carnivorous plant or the carnivorous side of this plant. So with that being said, what I'm trying to say is, like, don't feel the need to go out and like fertilize your carnivorous plants, because especially during the summer, it can fluctuate as well with like different temperatures and stuff. Sometimes there'll be more fungus gnats and it'll actually catch stuff, or sometimes there's a spider that I'll find and I'll just try and stick it on there. But yeah, don't feel the need to like go out and like actively fertilize them. Okay, so I unpotted them, and they actually, I'll show you guys this just so that you guys know what they look like. One second. This right here is the bladderwort. That, ignore that. But here are some of the Pinguicula roots. I think there is one right there. And yeah, I really do like Pinguicula. This one is actually splitting, which if you have no experience with Pinguicula, the pirouette, I would say, is the easiest one. I know the pirouette doesn't go through a succulent cycle, which we'll get into a little bit more about, like the dormancy and stuff like that in a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys those roots really quickly, and now I'm going to show you guys the vessels. So I originally bought this one with the intent to make the little bog in this, but then I found this one, and this one is a little bit bigger than this one. And then I also have recently cleared out this one, which was like one of my original like pots for this bog. I did make a like original bog, and then I decided to separate the Drosera and the the Capensis and the Pinguicula, and so that was no longer a thing. But seeing how much like carnivorous plants I have, I kind of want to go this route because I think that this one might be a little bit too small. Ooh, maybe it's not that bad, but I know I want to have the Drosera, like both of them, separated so that they aren't like clashing, because this one can get really full. This is the Capensis. It can get very full very quickly, and so I don't want to have them like, you know, intertwine with each other and like get stuck to each other, because I feel like it might just be a little bit complicated with that. And so I think that this one might just be a tad small, although that would look so freaking cute. I got this at a thrift store, and it's like, I'm pretty sure it's for like bundt cakes or something like that. Like, not bundt cakes, what am I saying? It's for like creme brulee or just like small little pastries to like put in here. I don't know what I'm saying. I know it's for pastries, that's all. But I think I might go this route. But the only question is, will I have space for this? Yeah, with this one, I just don't know if it'll be too big, and then also just too deep, because compared to like this one, it's not, which actually might be a good thing. I don't know. And then this one is just the original one that I like had them in, so I don't mind this one. It's also neutral, so it would give a like chance for the colors to like actually pop and stuff, instead of like, you know, the colors competing with this one, which actually I don't think would be too bad, because red is the complementary color of green, and so this might actually bring out the like green in this. But the issue with this is that the Pinguicula just takes up so much real estate space. Like, if you guys see that, it's literally taking up half the vessel already, so I think we might have to go with the other two options, unless we separate the Pinguicula, because this Pinguicula is multiple like separations of one Pinguicula. I'll show you. I'll try and find a picture of what this looked like when I first got it and pop it in, and if I can't find one, then I'm sorry, but this thing has just like kind of clustered itself, and there's like multiple little smaller plants in here, so if I wanted to separate them, I could. I also don't mind this one just because I feel like I've seen it before. It's a good route. It's also a good size. Maybe we will do this one just for comfort, and I don't know, we'll see. Probably go with this one, but I also kind of want to try and separate the Pinguicula into like multiples, because I feel like it might be cool to like add some like depth into the whole bog-like system. And I did have some like normal plants in here, so I'm trying to get rid of all of that extra stuff that we don't need. And I was gonna try and reuse this, but honestly it really stinks, and I just don't want to deal with that, so we're not gonna do that today. And I do have my own like mix right here. This is, I know what's most commonly used with carnivorous plants is like peat moss with some vermiculite and perlite. I have like a mix of that with sphagnum moss, and yeah, that's about it really. And whew, yeah, so let's just get into potting it. I am gonna undo this actually so that I can reuse what's in there. I'm usually not one to want to split these up, but I think that now, do I want to? I think I see a clear path. You know what, maybe we will. Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show this, but down the center, you guys can see the like roots down there. You can tell that this has sort of split into two. So we're gonna try and separate these. And while I separate these, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the flowering aspect of these, since these are, you know, flowering. Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. For those of you that have, you know, clicked on this video to figure out how to get your thing to flower, I have no idea what I'm doing to make this flower. There's no fruit flies on here. Again, like I said before, I just recently put the bloodworm on here, which it's on this one right here. And as you guys can see on like all of the other leaves, there is no fruit flies. So I can't tell you what I'm doing. It's not even sun stressed. I can't tell you what I'm doing to get these to flower. So I apologize. I will tell you guys right now, the lighting conditions that I have these under, I have them under two T5 Brinas, and they're the 1 foot Brinas in the like white yellow color, I guess. I think they're actually yellow. Maybe they're yellow. And yeah, that is all that I do. I keep a consistent reservoir in there. Actually with this one, I would let it go a little bit dry. But now obviously I'm not really gonna be able to do that. And even with the Drosera being in there, honestly, they've both been pretty okay. Like, they're not like fussy about their watering, at least that I've noticed. When I first got these two, I was told to separate them because they just kind of have two completely different watering techniques or needs, and I haven't really recognized that. I will say that the Drosera is a little bit more thirsty, and maybe, you know, as time goes on, I'll notice a little bit more of a difference, but I particularly haven't noticed a big giant difference in their care and in just, yeah, their care. Yeah, and with Pinguiculas, they all sort of have different flowers. I'm not so sure with the Drosera. Honestly, I have no idea what their like flowering mechanism is. With the Drosera capensis, that one has flowered for me, and it is very, very beautiful, but it only comes out either in the morning or at night, where they're like fully open, and they only open one by one, and so you kind of have to be watching it like very closely to really be able to see the flower. And I think I've only caught it or seen it like once when it was like actually open. It wasn't like closing, or it wasn't like, you know, shutting down and like moving on to the next flower. Okay, I'm gonna try and split these apart very gently, because these, as soon as you split them apart, they can become really oh, not so bad. Okay, awesome. They can become really flimsy because they've had that support on each other for so long. It can kind of become like, they can kind of fall apart a little bit. Like you guys can see this one right here, this petal on the end right there, that one, this one, it's kind of like flimsy, and that's because it's had that sort of back support from the other one. But yeah, now these are split into two. Very gently pulled them apart, and honestly, Pinguiculas, from what I've seen, root up really, really amazingly. Like, they just, I have no issue with the roots on those. With the Drosera, I will say I can't see the roots, so it's kind of hard to like recognize if they're doing anything monumental or just like doing good. Sun stressing is also something I wanted to mention, because I haven't been able to sun stress mine. And another thing with the Pinguicula Pirouette, if you guys see how it used to look, hold on, you can definitely see a difference of like the leaves that were on it when I first got it versus now. I have no idea what to do to get back to those, like, you know, actually like Pinguicula looking leaves. The only thing I can connect it to is more light. More light also sun stresses them, so the Pirouette sun stresses this beautiful like peachy pink color, and I love that. I feel like with this sundew it might even look really, really pretty. So I think as of like transporting it into this, I'm gonna try and give it some more light, see if that sort of helps those like fuller, like more prominent Pinguicula leaves come out. It's the only thing I can really tie it to, other than like maybe the fertilization, but I don't think that really dictates a lot. I'm gonna figure out here, let's put in these sundews first. So again, I have two of them, and let's see. I think what I'm gonna do, because these sundews are a little bit more thirsty, where I'm putting the sundews, I'm gonna use a little bit less of a chunky mix, which is gonna be just what's in here, which is sphagnum moss, some perlite, peat moss. Yeah, I'm just really gonna try and use a little bit more of a denser mix. Got my distilled water, which is something that I didn't even mention. sundew and carnivorous plants can only take distilled water. I think they can also take filtered water or tap water in some states. It really depends on how hardy like your water is. With my water, I'm pretty sure I haven't even tried it, to be honest, and I don't want to. I just don't trust my water. And so I do give them distilled water, which I get from Winco. If you are, you know, looking for where you should get them, I know Winco has, I think their water isn't even distilled, it's reverse osmosis water, which is like the creme de la creme of like water, which is like the most purified thing you can get, I guess, like the most purified water you can get. So yeah, it's a really good place to go if you're looking for distilled water. They even have like, you can buy like gallons of them. Yeah, it's just a really good spot to go to for distilled water. So I just put distilled water in here, and this is just, again, that mix of vermiculite, peat moss, perlite, and sphagnum moss. I almost said peat moss again. I don't substitute humidity whatsoever. I literally only give them water and light, and that's about it. Also, another thing I want to mention really quickly is you wouldn't think that you deal with pests on these. I have. Very surprisingly, I actually have. I've dealt with aphids on this sundew right here, the capensis that I'm potting up right now. And it is very annoying to get off of because you can't use like traditional pesticides or like just anything really. Like you can't use soap, you can't use anything with harsh chemicals, or else this sundew is going to just croak on you. And so I don't even remember what I used. I think I just flicked them off with water. I had a whitefly and aphids. I'm not sure if they're the same thing, honestly, but I know that the babies of aphids can also be white, so that was kind of confusing, but I'm pretty sure it was whitefly, unless whitefly is what you call the smaller aphids, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. And yeah, that was just one of the most annoying parts of like having pests. You wouldn't think that you deal with pests, but honestly you really do. And as for the Pinguicula types, and like I said earlier, the dormant cycle, they do go through dormant cycles. And so if you get another one, which I have no idea, you're gonna have to do like individual research on those. I know the Javavensis can, I believe, go into a dormant cycle, and that can usually just happen in the winter, which they'll turn into like a succulent, and you just quit watering. You know, don't give them water whatsoever until the summer, until there's more light and more like heat and humidity to get the plant to use it up a little bit quicker. But I know that the pirouette doesn't go through that cycle. Oh my god, I'm having a really hard time keeping these a little bit more separated. I'm actually gonna use a little bit of this just because it's a little bit more muddy, and you guys, it stinks like manure. So maybe I'll use a spoon because I don't know that I want that on my hands. Although I've probably already had it on my hands and I just unknowingly did it, but me knowing what this smells like and grabbing with my hands, I think it's a little bit much. Yeah, so with the Pinguiculas, they do go through a dormant cycle. Some of them do. Again, do your own individual research. And even with like the Dracaeras, you can, I'm not sure that, actually I think they can go dormant. If you are wanting a little bit more care information, like strictly on your specific type, one amazing resource that I could point you to is Predatory Perennials, which is actually where I got my Pinguicula from. And they are just amazing. They live here in the Pacific Northwest, and they grow like Sarracenia, which is another type of carnivorous plant outdoors, and they just know a lot. And if you like ever need care, I think they have a website. Maybe I'll try and link it down below, where they also like talk a lot about their care and, you know, dormancy and things like that. And if you ever have any questions, I definitely point you there to, you know, ask those. I guess I should have prefaced that I am not an expert in carnivorous plant care. I am just sort of giving you guys what I know from my experience, and it's the only thing I can really, you know, it's the only experience I have behind my belt to really give you guys information on. So I apologize if I'm not giving you the information that you need. I am not an expert. So Next, what should we do? I think I'm actually gonna put the bladderwort, and you guys, I used to have, this is bladderwort by the way, this is all I have left of mine. I think I have a picture of what my, like, what it used to look like. It was so beautiful. It was so big, so bushy, and it was just thriving. And then I think I forgot to water it or something. I had repotted it, I think, and the like water reservoir was separate from the top portion, and the top portion was where all the peat moss was and stuff, and it was dry. So yeah, neither the bladderwort or the capensis was really happy there, and so I just hacked down my utricularia, and hopefully it comes back, because this plant is so beautiful. It has white little, I believe they're actually commonly known as like white rabbit flowers, or something like that, something with a rabbit. And yeah, they're really, really beautiful and really easy to care for as well. Like, you don't even need to feed those. They'll catch their prey in their roots. They have roots. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm losing my voice here. Oh my god. They have roots, and in those roots they have little bladders that sort of perch off of those, and then in those bladders they'll catch like microorganisms within the soil, which is really, really cool. Do I want these? Oh god, is this one gonna be too small now? That's annoying. Please don't fall apart. Oh god. Okay, I wanted to have one. Oh, I think actually that's good. Okay, I wanted to have one of the Drosera a little bit higher than the other, so that's what I'm trying to like figure out. I feel like it might look a little bit more symmetrical than I would want. Maybe I'll put the pinguicula off to one side and then have the little pinguicula off to the other. I'm trying to think of how this will look good. Okay, moving on to the next topic. Light. Right, so with all of these, they sit in my plant shelf to my left, and they sit under a oh god, what is it called? I just said the name. A Barina T5 1-foot light, and again in the yellow. And my pinguicula has actually sunstressed pretty good underneath those lights. Like, I've noticed that if I can get it closer to the light, it'll sunstress a lot more. So I don't have it too close to the light right now, but I do want to move it so that it does get those leaves that are a little bit more normal rather than these. I don't know what it is, but ever since I've brought this plant into my space, it just hasn't given me leaves that are really like pristine and like, you know, how they looked when I first got it. I'm honestly just trying to get this placement right, so I'm sorry if it's taken a while. Oh, that looks good. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm really concentrating on getting these placements right, so I'm just gonna time-lapse through this and then we'll get back into the topic. Alright, I think I've gotten everything ready to go. I'm just using distilled water to sort of wash off anything I've gotten on the leaves that I don't want on there. Or if anything, I'll just go and take it right off. So, this is what it looks like so far, which is like, we're almost there. We just need to add in like everything else that I have, which is just like some moss. More of the bladderworts, which I actually am going to do that right now. I have this whole cluster of I don't even know what. Honestly, the bladderwort goes so crazy. I don't even try and separate it anymore. I just kind of plop it wherever it fits, and I do wish it was a little less, you know, all over the place, but you pick and choose really because there's no controlling this plant. Just kind of ripping this into little patches and putting it all over. I don't even know if you guys can really Another thing that I commonly see is that people aren't getting dewdrops on their sundew. For me, anytime that that's happened to me, it's been because of insufficient water. And so sundews are surprisingly, or Drosera are surprisingly really thirsty. Well, I wouldn't even say surprisingly, they just are more thirsty than you would think. Like, if you know you're having an issue with the Drosera, it's probably not enough water or not enough light. They really do love a lot of water, and I would just really put that out there because I thought that I was giving mine enough water, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to like tone it down a little bit. And even when like there is like a small like reservoir in here, which again, I grow in no drainage, and with this one it's going to be a little bit more difficult to be able to like see the reservoir, but with, you know, whenever I had a really low reservoir, there would be no dewdrops. So you want to have a consistent amount of water for the plant to, you know, continuously take up within that plant. Okay, now it's looking a lot more alive in here with all of that moss, which I really do love how that looks. Now I'm going to take this, and with this Pinguicula, the Jamavensis, I do want to put this a little bit deeper, and probably going to keep this on the Drosera side because of the fact that it's so small and it's on the top layer of, you know, everything. It's not going to get as much water as everything else because its roots aren't as deep either. And so I'm just kind of putting it on the Drosera side so that it gets a little bit more water within that because of the material that we used on the Drosera side, which was the more heavy peat moss based, more densely based substrate, if that makes sense. Hopefully you guys are catching what I'm saying. But yeah, anytime I've noticed that the dewdrops on my sundew aren't appearing, it's because of either stress, like right now there is no dewdrops because of how much I've been moving it around, and if it's not that, then it's not enough water within the reservoir. But I think this is what our little, or my little carnivorous bog is gonna look like, and I freaking love this so much, you guys. I still need to add all of the trinkets, which I'll do that. And if you are thinking of making one, you are definitely gonna need to get you some little trinkets. I have like this little frog that I got from my mom, this little mushroom that my brother's girlfriend gave me, which is one of my favorite things about this, and I actually think I need to wash it off. It's looking really gross, but and then I have this little like crystal that I got like a while ago, and I'm sure that you can find any of these on probably within your local like garden centers. Actually, I wouldn't say garden centers, more like nurseries. I've definitely seen a lot of like little mushrooms lying around and little frog like garden decorations. So check out your local plant shops. Even I think my old job actually had little trinkets like this, and I'm just gonna pop these in wherever I think they'll fit in. And I just love it. I love it so much because it adds little like character into your little garden. And I'm actually really loving this a lot. Just got dew all over me. Okay, now we're just gonna go in and water this. Okay, I think that's enough water, and that's actually before, when I had this in here like with just my Drosera and my Pinguicula, the way that I was able to tell how much water it is literally just by shaking it. And I have leca on the bottom for that exact reason, so that you know, if it jiggles or if it sounds, oh my god, I'm sorry, if it sounds really hollow, like right now here, hopefully you guys can hear that, but there's like a little slushing around, which tells me that the water is like in between the layer. It's like probably a little bit higher than the leca and a little bit more absorbed into the substrate, which for now I think I'm gonna leave it that way. And if you want a little bit more details about what I did, in case I didn't really explain it, on the side where the Droseras are, I have a little bit more of this like peat heavy substrate, so it's a lot more dense and just a lot more water absorbent for those Drosera, because again, they do like a lot of water. And then on the Pinguicula side, I used a little bit more of like this sphagnum moss. I think it was sphagnum moss with mostly perlite and a little bit of that peat moss. So just something a lot more chunky and airy on this side of things. And then I put the Jamavensis in this specific spot right here because I noticed that when I had it in here, it kind of isn't just really attaching, and the roots that it had when I first got it are kind of just gone, which tells me that it just has a little bit too much of a gap in between the substrate and the water and just those more absorbent materials. So I wanted this Pinguicula to be more so on the side where it wants a little bit more, or where it gets a little bit more water retention. And the bladderwort I've just kind of sprinkled everywhere. So there's a chunk of it here. I know there's a chunk of it on this side too, and then I put a little piece of it back here. So the bladderwort will really do well in anything. Like, the bladderwort is honestly one of the easiest carnivorous plants I've had in my entire existence within this hobby. I don't really have anything bad to say about that one. If you are wanting to get into like carnivorous plants and you want like a low maintenance one, I would definitely recommend the bladderwort, which is the Utricularia sandersonii, and I absolutely love that one. Like, although I will say, if you just get that one and like have it as a little patch, you could even do like a small little shallow vessel, a little bit more shorter than this, and then just have it like be a little mound, and you give it a lot of light, it'll flower for you really, really easily. They are so small and so beautiful. And again, I'll post pictures when I can, like I'll put them up on the screen when I can. And yeah, just if you're wanting something that doesn't look like a carnivorous plant but is, and you could, like, you know, someone asks you what it is and you can go into a little bit more depth within that plant, that is definitely your go-to. It is really, really easy. Alright, let me know if you guys have any other questions, and for now, that is all that I have. Let me know if I missed anything, of course, and I will do my best to help you guys down there. I also have another resource that I could post on the screen if you guys need that. It is like a little paper that I got from my local nursery, and maybe that'll have some information that you guys were wondering about, because that paper has a little bit more information about like all of the genus within the carnivorous plant area in this hobby. It has like Sarracenia, oh my god, I don't remember the other one, but I'll pop it in on the screen just in case that's some sort of help to you guys. And I know I didn't cover like all of the carnivorous plants within this video, and that is because I can't really say much about any other carnivorous plant. With any carnivorous plants that I didn't cover within this video, I didn't cover them for that exact reason, because I haven't really experienced them, and I can't really give any care advice on that sort of, on those sort of plants or on those types of carnivorous plants, because I just haven't really cared for them, and I'm just speaking from my own experience. I'm sorry that I can't be of help with those other sort of genus within the carnivorous plant side of this hobby, but I hope that this video was of some sort of help. I'm sure that some of this care can be transferred over into any of the other genuses within the carnivorous plant area in this hobby, but yeah, with that being said, that is all, and I do want to give you guys just one last little showcase of a final look at this. I absolutely love how it came out. Besides the whole distilled water thing, that was definitely something that took me a while to sort of get over, but now that I've, you know, gotten used to my routine with these in my collection, they are super easy and really not difficult whatsoever. I haven't had any issues with like humidity or light really. But yeah, again, if you have any questions that I didn't answer within this video, I will do my best to direct you in a way where you can get some answers, or just help you get some answers if I can speak from my own experience. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys took some information with you as well, and thank you so much for watching.